I know we're going to talk about some NFL games this week, but I can't stand that last night's game ended with a coin toss basically determining the winner. That was such a good football game. And we go to overtime, and that's like, to me, you have a golf match that ends with two guys finishing tied, and they say, okay, if you get a birdie right here, player number one, you win, and the other guy doesn't get to play the hole. If you par it, then the other guy gets to go and have a chance to par a birdie and win the game. Like, that's ridiculous. What other sport does that shit? That's ridiculous.
That's a good way of actually thinking about it. That drive, the Rams were clearly, week one, clearly gassed. I mean, I don't know why they didn't, even on the first drive, it was weird how the Lions kind of abandoned the run. Like, the first drive, Montgomery was running very well too, and then they put him in an overtime. And I mean, I think he had maybe like 30 yards, like that first series or whatever, and first or second series, and then like 60 in overtime and a touchdown. So
they only threw the ball one time in overtime.
Yeah, and it was a screen.
And it was a screen pass.
Yeah,
yes.
I was a screen to Gibbs, I think. So
yes,
they weren't going to let Jared Goff throw the ball and turn it over there, especially when they were running for 9 yards a pop. Montgomery looked really good at the end of the game, fresh. Like I said, he hadn't done much up to that point. So, big win for the Lions. But like you said, it really does suck that, you see a game where, the other team doesn't get to possess the ball.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I just can't stand the overtime rules. And, like, why do you go out of your way to make the game end is my problem with. Like, they're shortening the overtime.
Yeah.
Make it a 10-minute game. You can tie. You have not both teams get to possess the ball if there's a touchdown. I don't understand it. I don't get that.
If they really want to play less football, which it seems like that's the ultimate goal, why not just play college overtime?
That's what I said. I said the same thing.
I mean,
I just say one possession from the 10-yard line and say no field goals.
Yeah. I would like, I think you definitely start with the, and in the NFL too, especially, you'll have a team that wants to go for two kind of right away and, play less football. Like we had kind of talked about it briefly. If Isaiah Likely got the toe in, would they go for two or whatever? And
you're right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just, those teams just want to,
they don't want to play
that's
more
the point.
football.
Yeah. They don't want to keep playing football when, well, especially, for example, if it was the Chiefs that did that and they're playing better, Andy Reid, a little bit more old school, kicks extra point, says, we're going to win this game in overtime. But if you're a small dog on the road and you score with no time left, and it's like, hey, we can end it right here and we're not going to play any extra football, you just do it. I mean, and like I said, especially this early, they haven't used basically their best 2-point play probably yet either.
Right.
You never show that, so it's, you got the play you absolutely want. It's the Chiefs' defense is tired. And, I wish we would have got to see it, but Likely's toe was out by millimeters.
That would have been the second overtime game of the week. There were some damn good. I thought the game last night, both the two standalone games, the Thursday and the Friday, were really good games. There wasn't phenomenal games yesterday, but most of them, like the Bills-Cardinals, came down to the end.
Yep.
Texans-Colts came down to the end. We had a walk-off field goal in Miami-Jacksonville, and then there was one other close game. What was it? There was I guess they were all somewhat close with the exception of the Panthers game and the Vikings game.
Yeah, just great to have the NFL back in general, though, for sure. It was fun watching all the games yesterday.
Yeah.
The one stat I was actually kind of surprised on is that I think they said there was 14 overtime games last year. And with the new rules, there hadn't been a tie, which I was actually fairly surprised. But last year there wasn't. I don't know if these rules went into effect 2 years ago, but you play only the 10 minutes. So to me, it's kind of strange because it's just, you could have 4 minutes and then a punt. And then you just would have thought that one of those games could have ended like in a missed field goal or something.
Right.
I forgot who it was. I think it may have been before the overtime rules changed. It was 15 minutes, but it was like the Bengals and somebody, and there was like 4 missed. I think it was with the 50. There's several missed field goals, and then the game ended in a tie. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
McPherson missed a few of them, but.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember the game.
I think that was an overtime game. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't, and they were just all missing kicks. But it was good to have the NFL back. It was a fun week, and Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, though. They need to figure something out with overtime. You can't have one team just score a touchdown and,
that's
end
just
the game.
Especially because, the way the game played out, the Rams would have gotten the ball, right? Like the last possession, the Rams had the ball, right? The Lions go down and tie it. So, and I understand, like it's a new period. In overtime in basketball, you're going to throw the ball up or whatever. But it's just the last time the Rams would, like, I don't count the last drive or the Rams threw one. They tried to throw one pass, and by the way, it was almost picked off. It was almost an interception. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Stafford made a Stafford throw trying to fit something down the field there. I think that I was telling somebody on text message, I know it's like in today's age in the NFL, 17 seconds, these kickers can just kick long, crazy field goals. But 17 seconds from the 25 or 30, and you have Matt Stafford, who played a awesome second half. Obviously, he was no good really in the first half, made some bonehead decisions. But the one thing Matthew Stafford does think is he can always fit a throw in. And so, like, with 17 seconds left, I think I'm just like, maybe run a quick screen to somebody and see if, or hand it off, see if you can get 10, 15 yards, call timeout. But I am not letting him drop straight back and throwing something 25 yards down the field. You're asking for a disaster. Well, and the craziest was the next play.
The next play was crazier.
I go, what the fuck are they doing? Why would 11 seconds and you drop? He helped. And it's just, like I said, I love Matthew Stafford. I was arguing with someone about it last night. He's like, he's a bonehead. He is. He does some, he's got gunslinger tendencies. But, I mean, McVay's got to, be smarter than put him in that situation with 11 seconds left to drop him straight back because he's going to try to make a play. And if he would have got strip sacked there, McVay would have had, and he nearly did, McVay would have had to answer a lot of questions.
It was this close to being a strip sack.
He just somehow held on to it. But I was like, oh my, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, what are they doing?
The first play, I thought maybe they would go take like a quick little drag route to Cooper Kupp and try to get him, up the field, but something safe. And of course, to take a shot. And then I was like, all right, they're going to run the ball here, take a knee, go try to throw it again. Damn near got strip sacked. You're right. Yeah. Crazy, but
stupid.
I guess I get it because you starting on the 30 with the kickers, but the Rams have a rookie kicker, don't they? Didn't they have a rookie kicker?
Both teams have technically.
So it's like, really, what do you need to get to? That's the other thing. It's like
they said that he made a. They were talking about it. I think. Mike Tirico said he had a 61-yarder at Stanford.
Oh, he did?
So apparently the kid's got a giant leg, but still, with 17 seconds, I get that you want to try something, especially in this day and age, but like you said, quick throw, get it. Like Kupp was electric running after the catch. Yeah. Just get it to him, try to set up a screen. The defensive ends are going to be flying up the field. Try to get a screen to him and get 10, 15 yards, and then if you throw an interception, forcing it down the field, there's 7 seconds left, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But the drop back to pass and
I thought
almost getting pick was, I think McVay put him in a bad spot.
He did, and I thought he probably should have used his timeouts on defense before that, trying to save a little bit of time. It was a tricky. Yeah, it was because you don't want to give him enough time to score a touchdown. But
yeah, I'm with you though. When I was like, yeah, he probably should have just used it because they would have had enough time to score a touchdown.
That's what I thought. Anyway. They had timeouts too. I was like, if they want to score, they're going to score.
Even with 30 seconds left, when they had 3 timeouts, like it doesn't. Just go ahead and use your timeouts.
Right, I agree. I'd rather just save time. They probably have 45 seconds there. It's a whole different situation at that point.
Yep.
Before I get into the rest of the topics, make sure if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Make sure to hit that notification button so you get all of the alerts when we have a new episode. It usually comes out on Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. But thank you everybody who is already subscribed and supporting the channel. We will have a pick'em show this week. We had it last week. We just didn't actually post it. Big Dog.
It was interesting.
Yeah, Big Dog.
Hijacked, he did what Big Dog does. He came in and hijacked an episode.
Thank you for at least admitting that. He ruins the show around here, but we will have an episode this week. And
we didn't talk Vietnam, though, so that was...
I won't let him. He's not talking that anymore. I will cut it out.
I agree, but I'm just saying we're moving in the... Usually he talks... We're moving in the right direction. Like, usually he talks about it and you cut it. I'm like, dude, you can't put that on the internet. He's like, what do you mean you can't put that on the internet? They usually cut it, and it takes time out of your day. But I think last week, I don't even think he mentioned anything.
No, I think you're right.
We might have to hide his hat up there.
I might have to throw that thing away. Also, before I move on, Jeff Davis We are still waiting for a sponsorship. I wrote you a letter,
Seriously.
Jeff. It's coming soon.
Oh, did you write him
I wrote him a letter, an official letter. We need you on the show. We need you as a celebrity guest on the Pick'em show. We need you on the podcast, okay? We need your sponsorship, of course. But
Jeff
we need
Davis, Mr. San Antonio.
Mr. San Antonio. He's a Quinn Ewers fan. He's a UT fan. Come on. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and I think he went to UTs. I'm assuming that's why he has the deal with them. But
Okay.
it's official sponsor of the Spurs. Come on, man. I mean, he said we are San Antonio. He is San Antonio. Couldn't have a better fit. Fours are here for you.
Yeah, the fours are here for you.
Fours are here for you. All right. If you've been in a motorcycle or a truck accident, call the fours. All right. Okay. I was gonna ask you this. There were 6 quarterbacks in week 1 who had a QBR above 80. And I will say, keep in mind, QBR does take into account things like sacks, how big the play is in the scheme of the game, like if you're up, down, whatever. Like,
yeah.
it takes into all that, and like running, scrambling as well. But can you name the 6 quarterbacks who had above an 80 QBR here? I'll give you a hint. None of them are named Patrick Mahomes. This is actually pretty tough. This is pretty tough. I would have not got this.
Baker had to be above it.
Got Baker for sure.
Did Dak get there above it or no?
No,
he
Dak
wasn't.
did not.
He didn't. He went great. He was fine. He
Yeah.
made some bad throws. Dak. What about man? I don't know what running has to do with it, but did Josh Allen get above an 80?
Josh Allen was the highest.
Okay.
He was the highest.
Yeah, well, I mean, his quarterback, he was, and it's funny, talk about a tale of two halves, but, coming into these games with the way the preseason is now, you get that extra week off, and I
Right.
think it showed, rustiness for some of these guys, because Allen was horrific in the first half.
Terrible.
And so, Stafford was not good and made some really bad decisions. And then he was, unbelievable in the second half. That 3rd and 5 throw he made where Collinsworth was going crazy. Oh, my God. That might be it was, when I saw it, I was like, I wonder if they're going to talk about how good that throw was. And he did. I was like, it was an incredible throw. He's like backing up and just put it right on the money. But so Baker, Josh Allen, let's see who else. Was Stafford there or no? Because that horrible pick that he threw.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was. I think he was in the 60s, 70s. He didn't
okay.
quite get there. Him and Goff. did
Who
not
are the
get
other
there.
ones?
Yeah, the other ones were Anthony Richardson,
Okay.
Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, and Jacoby Brissett. Those were the 6 quarterbacks above 80. And I guess Brissett was like 10 of 14, but he just scrambled a bunch and got first downs, and it was always a close game, so they were big plays throughout the game.
Yeah. That's interesting how they come up with it.
I
guess it has to do with making plays.
It has to be.
Josh Allen was, that's all he did was making plays. So.
I think it takes into account what you do on a drop back as opposed to just what you do on a throw. Like a passer rating is just completion, all that.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that was interesting that when I looked that up, the top guys. Last thing before we go into some specific topics was you told me that Jeremiah was not actually upset that Notre Dame lost to NIU.
Well, he was upset, but like he said, he's grown up a lot over the years, and his happiness doesn't rely on Notre Dame anymore, which is good. So yeah, it was a tough loss. He even, I told you because you were asking me about perhaps betting it or whatever, and I was like, I don't know. But earlier,
it was on my list to be a best bet, and I
took it off and put it back
off
on?
and wanted your opinion, and so that's
well,
why.
It was his. I had no idea, but he was saying that NIU returned all those guys, and Rocky Lombardi sucks anyway, so it's like got rid of him and returning 9 guys across the board. And what was the line? Was what
28.5? Yeah,
they were always Notre Dame on offense, just in general. It's like they were never. That running back for NIU was nice, and the defense played well.
Marion Hampton.
It's a horrific loss for Notre Dame, obviously. Jeremiah sent me the deal, and it was Notre Dame 48 4- and 5-star guys on the roster, NIU 0, and NIU has a bunch of 3-stars that have been playing together, and that's in college football. That's it helps that keep those guys together. Now with the transfer portal and people just leaving this and that and the other, so they've done a good job, I guess, of keeping that main unit together at least for 2 years. So admirable job by them. Won the game, and like Jeremiah said, we're watching. They were the better team today. It wasn't like it was a fluke. It was they just beat Notre Dame. It's good for them. They'll remember that.
They were the better team
lives,
for 4 quarters. It was not a fluke.
Yeah.
It was not a fluke whatsoever.
Riley Leonard made some horrible throws.
He's just not a good passer. He's just not, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Do you have a best thing you saw this week?
There's some funny ones. I mean, I don't know if you're going to use it. I showed it to you last night, but the funniest, best thing I saw this week was play-by-play radio tennis.
Is that what you're going to use? No, I almost did. I switched it.
I mean, it's the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. It's like, I was like, is someone, and I was with you, I was like, is someone just making this at home? It's like, no, it's like the live call on ESPN, the U.S. Open final, and it's like, center serves, he gets it in, and Fritz cross-court backhand to center's backhand, was backhand's back in, another backhand from Fritz, and forehand, and cross-court, and center sends out one long, 15-love, and I was like, there's no way anybody actually listens to this. This is insanity.
It's a radio call.
It's a radio call of tennis. Yeah,
it's actually awesome.
I've been around 30+ years, and I have never knew that was a thing, but it's, absolutely hilarious. So I guess it's kind of dumb to think that it wasn't a thing, but I mean, I guess, I don't know, but I've just never heard anybody
call of PGA.
Oh, for sure. PGA radio is a big one. Yeah.
Stop.
Oh, yeah. No, because the PGA is, to me, way easier than for example,
well, there's easier, but I'm just saying, who's and Scotty Scheffler with a 4-iron hits it, and it's to 2 feet.
You'd be surprised. When you're on a long road trip, because I've done it before, and it's like on a Sunday, and you just, at that point, 10 years ago, no one was like watching on their phone and stuff. So when people are driving on a Sunday or whatever, it's and the guy who does the radio, it's Colton Ost, who's been around. He was a pro, and he's got his own golf podcast and stuff. But he does a lot of the ESPN Plus coverage and stuff now. But he is the PGA radio guy that would follow the main groups around. But that's what it is. Scotty, has hit 14, 17 fairways today, and here he is out on 18. He's got one more shot to wrap this up. What is it? Looks like a 7-iron here out of the bag. I saw him pull 7-iron. Shots on the way on the green. Looks about 15, 20 feet. So Scotty Scheffler will have 15 to 20 feet for his birdie, and another win. But that to me is, I get that it is a little crazy, but the tennis is just, what do you? Serve in, cross-court shot, cross-court shot, cross-court shot, cross-court shot.
I could not believe it was real. I thought it was going to be dubbed.
Yeah.
Somebody doing it.
That's what I thought originally too, but I guess they were just like, hey, maybe someone will want to listen to this. But it was the championship point call, so there wasn't, I don't know if he's giving color commentary the whole time too, or what it is, but it was very interesting.
I love it. My best thing was, I actually didn't even see it. You told me about it yesterday. Was Tyreek Hill getting arrested before the game.
Oh, yeah.
And then scoring an 80-yard touchdown in the third quarter and immediately celebrating, acting like he was getting detained and handcuffed.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Tyreek Cheetah, he's the man. That was great.
That was a classic. You knew he was planning that right when as soon as he got those handcuffs, I was like, oh, man, I got to score to do that.
I hope I score today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually hilarious that he did that. Apparently, Calais Campbell got detained as well. He was trying to diffuse a situation, and he got detained as well. He came up. It was right outside the stadium, I guess. I don't know.
And Tyreek was just driving like a lunatic, they said?
I don't know. I really didn't look into it much, but Tyreek made it sound like he did nothing wrong, and the cop, should not have detained him or anything. But then they were saying he disobeyed a direct order. But the thing is, it looked like it was on a public street. I guess it was right outside the stadium.
Yeah.
But it looked like on a public street. Look, I have no idea what happened, but I will say they put one of the officers on administrative leave pending an investigation. But I don't. If it's not a celebrity, do they even have an investigation? I'm just curious.
No, and that's
what actually happened.
And that's what Tyreek Hill said. So I almost think it's actually. Yeah, I think depending on, and I'm talking completely out of turn for this because I didn't see it, but I have a feeling that Tyreek Hill may have been driving a little reckless, maybe not, but that's probably why I got pulled over, and that's what they said.
100%.
And they were like, he was probably arguing with him and saying, hey, I'm a Dolphins player, I'm going into the stadium, I'm not staying here. And he's like, no, sir, I need to see your ID and whatever. And he was like, no, he probably got pulled out of the car. And he was like, yeah. Well, what? Imagine if that wasn't me. It's like, yeah, anybody else on earth would have been pulled out of their car.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, that's the opposite of what the point is, because there's no way that
every time I get pulled over, I have my insurance and my license, and I hand it to him and say, sorry, what was I doing?
Yes.
And amazingly enough, Probably been pulled over 10 times. I've never been pulled out of my car. And I know a lot of people say it's probably because I'm white and whatever. I get that. And I'm not making the argument either way on that. I'm just saying, all I know is if you have your ID in your hand and you have it hanging out of the window, I think whether you're white, black, yellow, green, you're way less likely to get ripped out of the car and put on the ground.
Now, are there some situations where there could be a cop who does it?
Sure.
But I 100% agree. It's like, I watch these Facebook videos and they're like, I don't answer any questions. Can I have your ID? I don't have to give you my ID. Dude, if you're just like, it's like being normal human interaction. Like, here's my ID. Here's my insurance card. 99% of those guys don't really want to do that anyway. I'm sure there's the 1% or maybe more, maybe 10% who like are like pulling people over and enjoy it.
Like there's bad apples in anything.
Right.
Like anybody says,
but the majority of those guys don't want to do that. And it's like, just fucking hand them your ID.
You'd be surprised if you just hand them your ID and insurance and say, sorry, I didn't think I was going that fast or whatever, but maybe I was. You'd be surprised how many times they just bring you back a warning.
It's exactly what happens every single time. I think I've gotten one ticket in my life and I was 16.
I had
pulled over 5 times.
I had an ex-girlfriend that thought it was best to just like pull over and cry. And I was like, no, just say, oh, I'm sorry, and hand that. She would get a ticket every time, too, which is hilarious. I think she got out of it once and then was like, oh, no, this is the way to do it. And then she would just like start bawling, crying, and the cops were probably just like, oh, my God, let me write this ticket and hand it to her and leave. Yeah. I'm not having any more conversation with this. Just like, hand him the ID, hand him the insurance.
Oh, man, that's funny.
And say, sorry. They'll be back in the car with a warning or ticket, and you go about your day.
The worst thing I saw this week, even though this is not really a segment for us, Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys kicker, nailing a 66-yard field goal, which was, by the way, would have tied the NFL record. It was
Tucker's,
yeah, Tucker 66 against
Detroit for the win.
Yes. Yeah. So would have tied the NFL record, and I mean he nailed it, and that thing was good from.
Did you see what he said to media?
What
they were asking him, like, whatever. I don't think he did like an official interview, but he was like. He's like, yeah, I just go out there and kick it when they tell me to kick it. I kick it as hard as I can. And the guy's like, did you want to try 71? He's like, hell yeah, absolutely. Like, I wanted to try it. Because I think the one from 66 got him by like 2 or 3 yards.
That's what I thought.
But to me, it looked like he didn't kick. Like, he kicked it hard, but he still kicked it with some arc on it. Like, from 71, obviously there's things that can happen. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm just letting them try it. Be like, we had a good – I mean, I know they had a great half, and it was be like the only way you could really screw up the half. But I was like – man, he just made one from 66 by 3 yards to spare, and he kicked it with some arc. Like, let him kick it from 71, see what happens.
Well, I will say this. What they ended up doing was throwing a Hail Mary, and Dak threw it like 20 yards short, and the guy almost caught it on the run and would have had a legitimate shot to score if he did catch it.
For sure.
And the alternative was he's catching it back on the, 10 yards deep or 9.5 yards deep in the end zone. So I do think, the alternative was they had a better shot to get it back anyway. I would have liked to see the 71. The reason it was the worst thing I saw, though, if you didn't see it or watch the Cowboys game, is because Mike McCarthy had 2 timeouts with 4 seconds to go in the half, and the play clock was running down, and he was asking after this happened for a reset, but he still had 2 timeouts, didn't call timeout, and took a delay of game.
Yeah, it's always so stupid when coaches do that because it's, first of all, it's the end of the half. You have
4 seconds, 2 timeouts.
You have 2 timeouts. And whether you think they should have reset the play clock or not, who cares? Just call fucking timeout.
Just call timeout.
Just call timeout.
It's easy.
And say, okay, yeah, well, you should have reset the play clock and have them kick it. Yep. Like, what are you doing? Reset the clock. Just call a timeout. There's 4 seconds left. You can't take them to the second half with you. But basically what it was is he got caught with his face. Yeah, he got caught with his pants down and just didn't realize that the play clock was winding down, and then started going, what do you mean you didn't,
blame it on someone else. Make it that was making it look like it wasn't
you always,
his fault.
As a head coach, you always go walk over there to the special teams guy, right now, special teams coach. Like,
yep.
What happened there?
And our special teams coach, Fossil,
he's been around forever.
Yeah, and his dad was a coach, and he's horrible. He's one of the worst special teams coordinators in the league. Okay, best rookie quarterback performance in week 1. Who was the best rookie quarterback?
Jaden Daniels
by far,
by
right?
a million, yeah.
17 for 24 for 184 yards. Didn't throw an interception. He had 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's going to be a real problem running it. You can tell. I mean, I saw him drop back the pass and just like run up the middle for like he's legitimately fast. Like, I mean, he moves. Like, I know Fields, I think Fields may have ran a faster 40 time than him. I don't know. I know Fields' 40 time is really good, it takes a little while for Fields to get going. And
Yeah.
then when he's downhill, he can fly.
Right.
But Jaden Daniels is shiftier and can run. I just worry about the health factor, right? I mean, you're getting hit by giants out there, big, fast, strong guys, and like, are you going to be able to stay healthy for 17 games running that many times?
You're carrying the ball 16 times a game.
Yeah, and I just don't know. Like, Lamar Jackson lost all this weight. They said, I didn't even know he had weight to lose. Like, lost weight.
Well, he gained it all going into last year because he's trying to be more of a pocket passer.
Yeah, and then now he lost it all, and I'm just like, man, but he's running more, and I'm just like, I don't know how he's going to stay healthy.
I agree.
I hope he does. Just have him on one of my fantasy football teams. So. And he had I think, damn well near 100 yards rushing.
Oh, yeah, fantasy. He might have had 100. He might have had 100.
Yeah.
I think he had like 116.
Yeah, he's running around. But yeah, Daniels is going to be a real problem running the ball. And I mean, I think we actually, I don't know if we ever said this on the show, but agreed with it. And it's obviously it's one game, right? You know, it's,
right.
It's just overreaction time. Week 1 of the NFL. But it's like, I mean, we've said this and I believe it. I think that, and a lot of people will call me crazy, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the better quarterback.
We both said that. I think we actually did say it on the show.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just, but I get that the upside, like as far as throwing it, whatever, may be slightly better with Caleb Williams if you want to look at it that way. But the whole reason you just, in that spot, especially if you're a guy that a head coach is about to get fired, a GM that's on his last straw, you can't, it's so much easier to take Caleb Williams and be like, well, what do you guys want me to do? He's the bona fide number 1 pick, and he sucks. It's not my fault. Like, how are you going to blame this on me?
Anybody would have taken him.
But if you would have taken Daniels and he sucked, you'd have been fired within 8 games.
100%.
So
100%.
That's why these GMs, like, people, I think a lot of people don't realize. I was like, well, why didn't he? Because he couldn't. I mean, it's like, it's job security. Yeah.
Especially with the Bears GM. Like, it's funny, you watch Hard Knocks and they act like he knows what he's doing. He was very borderline to get fired last year. It was very close getting fired. Both him and Eberflus were both very, very borderline to get fired.
Yeah, I'm shocked Eberflus kept his job. Now, is Eberflus an offense or defensive guy? Do you know?
Dude, I thought he was a defensive guy, but I think watching the Hard Knocks show, he's an offensive guy because he's always talking with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, if he was an offensive guy, he should have been fired for sure because the defense was actually pretty. The last 8 games of the season last year, the defense was pretty solid. And
they got a lot better.
I mean, they pretty much won them the game. I mean, they did win them the game. Special teams and defense did win them the game.
Yes.
So.
No, he is a defensive guy. He was a defensive coordinator with the Colts.
So that's why he ended up keeping his job because I mean the defense
got better.
The defense was good. I mean, the last 8 games they were probably, I would venture to say, a top 5 defense in football. I just remember them going crazy last year. The last 8
they
games.
did. They were really, really good at the end of the year. I'm surprised that that because he's a defensive guy. Like I watched Hard Knocks. Excuse me. I watched Hard Knocks, and he's taught. Maybe it's just for the show. Maybe it's a show thing. But he did a lot of shit with Caleb Williams for like one-on-one stuff. And I'm like, if you're not an offensive guy, I get like building the relationship, but in terms of like talking football and stuff, is weird to me. If he's a defensive guy, like I would rather my OC, my quarterback coach, be the guy like teaching him. If I'm not an offensive guy. Anyway, yeah, the other 2 guys we talked about or we watched yesterday, Caleb Williams, 14 of 29. Completed less than 50% of his passes, 93 yards. Not only did he not have a touchdown, the offense did not record a touchdown. 22.2 QBR, 55 passer rating, sacked twice and lost 30 yards on the 2 sacks. He was the worst. He was one of the worst quarterbacks overall of any quarterback week 1.
He wasn't good. And like I said, this is just a classic week 1 overreaction. He could turn out to be good, right? No idea. I think it's a little bit. People always like to look at Peyton Manning's rookie year. He had a horrible team, and Caleb Williams is surrounded by a lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
I mean, DJ Moore's a top 10 talent probably at receiver.
Yep.
At least close. You got a veteran in Keenan Allen. They draft Rome Odunze for him.
Cole
Kmet's a good tight end. So I think the issue with them, and that's what I already see people talking online, a lot of those Barstool guys are Bears, is like the offensive line didn't look good.
Yeah.
But I mean, Caleb Williams was just bad. I mean, not to mention throwing the ball is bad, but made bad decisions. Like he lost. I didn't see it, but I think he took like a 20-yard sack. I saw him do that a couple times.
Took him out of field goal range, yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a lot to learn, but like I said, it's just time for overreactions here. So we'll see where he goes. Who knows?
The only other guy was Bo Nix. He threw the ball 42 times and only had 138 yards because he just dinks and dunks all over the field. 3.3 yards per pass. He did have a rushing touchdown. His QBR was a little higher than Caleb Williams, but he did throw 2 interceptions in the game. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, we watched that when he forced them and forced a couple of them, and it's just all dinking and dumping, like you said. I don't think I was still, the way he played for just being a first game in a super tough environment in Seattle against a much better defense than the Titans, like in Caleb Williams, right?
Way better.
I don't think it was. It wasn't a horrific.
No, it wasn't horrific
performance. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, like you said. A lot of dinking and dumping, trying to stay in the game. It was an ugly game, very very ugly. Broncos got a couple safeties, whatever, and trying to stay in the game with little throws here and there. The Broncos just are not very good anyway.
No, their best receiver's Cortland Sutton.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, the situation for Nick's, it's like...
way worse.
Yeah, it's way worse than Caleb Williams.
Way worse. Both him and Jaden Daniels have a way worse situation.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams has no excuse to be that bad yesterday. All right, let's go to the good, the bad, and the ugly for the NFL. We'll start with the good, and I'll give my first one. My first good from this NFL weekend, the Dallas Cowboys in general, but specifically their defense and special teams. They held the Browns to 230 total yards, 3.3 yards per play. They sacked Deshaun Watson 6 times, more than any other defense in the first week, and picked him off twice. They had a special teams touchdown with Turpin returning one for a touchdown, and then Aubrey made like 5 field goals, including what should have been a 66-yarder. They were awesome. I was shocked at how good they were. Now, is that Deshaun Watson being absolutely horrible? Possibly. But I was impressed. Mike Zimmer did a really good job this offseason. That's the 6th lowest paid defense in the NFL, and they look like a top 5 unit yesterday.
I think maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what we did our picks, if I picked the Cowboys or not, because I thought the Eagles. I think you picked the Eagles. I know Payne and those guys.
You picked the Cowboys.
I think I win the Cowboys. The way they looked yesterday, and obviously it's just time for overreactions. Keep saying it, but it's like they looked really, really good. And Deshaun Watson looked really, really bad. I get it. But I think that's a testament to the Cowboys. I mean, they played a really, really good game. I think, like you said, Zimmer's a really good defensive coordinator. I really do think they're going to end up winning that division. Not to mention, not a lot of people talk about it, but Aubrey's the best kicker in football.
Yeah.
And having a weapon like that where it's like, hey, we're just going to kick a 57-yarder and not worry about it because he's going to make it, 80% of the time. Like, it's a crazy weapon to have. Like, even when yesterday, and I think we were all kind of in agreement, but it was like, they're going to kick a 57-yard field goal when everything was going right for them. And I was like, man, you're up 11 points. The Browns haven't done anything. I was like, if you pin them deep, they'll probably end up turning the ball over anyway. I was like, I don't know if I'd risk this. And he just nailed it by 12 yards, like right down the middle. And I was like, well, that's why they kicked it.
Yeah, it's like a 30-yard field goal for everybody else.
I mean, he's very, very impressive. Defense looked good. Like you said, Turpin with that return. I think he's going to be a great factor this year, just with more returns in general.
He's a weapon.
You touched on that yesterday. I think they're going to win that division.
I hope you're right.
And then we'll get into some of the other dumpster fires at the bottom of the division. But I mean, it's going to come down to them and the Eagles, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%. You have what's a good for you for this week?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. I mean, I think Josh Allen, just talking about it, is it started so bad, and it was funny because we were almost ready to write him off in the first half. Like, oh, this team looks like this team looks real bad, and Superman put on his cape and came and just brought him back. And I mean, with not a lot of weapons around him, and just it's like, I'll do it myself. I'll run and throw, and they look really, really good. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be very good, but you got to give them a big pat on the back for coming back from what were they down 17 14?
Yeah.
So he was very, very impressive in that game, and I think a lot of people I think he got voted, which I think is hilarious, the most overrated quarterback.
Josh Allen?
Yeah, it was an actual poll
to the players?
NFL poll, and he got voted the most overrated quarterback, and he goes, that just means I'm the best trash talker, playing it off. But I was like, I was like, Josh Allen is the most overrated quarterback. Well, I think he showed yesterday with not a lot of help around him. That's absolutely wrong. But that was a real vote.
I can't believe that. I actually think legitimately, and again, like you keep saying, it's week 1, overreaction, but from what I've seen in their careers, and Joe Burrow in that one season where they went to the Super Bowl and damn near won it, he was better than any season Josh Allen's had.
For sure, yeah.
But consistency-wise, if I'm down 17-3, I want Josh Allen before I want
healthy
Joe Burrow.
For sure. I
want Josh Allen before.
And he gives you a chance running it, too. I mean,
that's the thing. If he's off with his arm, he can run, and nobody else gives you that. Like, he's the best. I think the only guy I would take scrambling over him is Lamar Jackson, legitimately. Now, Jaden Daniels will probably end up being a better scrambler, but Josh Allen is an elite scrambler.
Yeah.
He's so damn big, and you can use him in a variety of ways, not just running when you are running out of the pocket, but short yardage situations, shotgun power quarterbacks. Like,
he's a guy you don't want to tackle. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude. He was awesome. Yes, that's a good point. He was the highest QBR of any quarterback week 1. Scrambled, made good decisions, came back and led his team to a victory with, like you said, very little weapons. Keon Coleman led them in receiving, by the way. Our boy from FSU.
Anyway, I'm disappointed Nick Davis stole him from me in fantasy.
we wanted him both of us. I wasn't going to get him, but my guy got shot in the chest that I drafted, but Keon Coleman was not there when I drafted. Okay,
the legend of Ricky Pearsall.
That's right. My other good here would be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. The Vikings in general were awesome this week. Lose your rookie quarterback who is probably going to be the starter, and J.J. McCarthy for the year. Sam Darnold has never been a good NFL starting quarterback. I was happy for him. He was 19 of 24 for 200 yards. He did throw 1 interception, but had 2 touchdowns. He was just outside that 80 QBR realm. He was 79.
And that's what the Vikings need him to do. They don't need him to do anything crazy. Just get the ball to the playmakers. And the only problem with them is Addison got hurt. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Hopefully he's okay.
There, yeah.
Because this team kind of reminds me of is that Vikings team with Case Keenum.
Sure.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, because, they have a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball. The defense seemed, keep in mind they weren't playing, they're playing the Giants. But the defense looked good as they could against a terrible team. And, the Giants defense isn't good. But, my whole deal with Darnold, man, and I could be wrong. I may be missing somebody, but, dude, he's never played on a good team. The situations he's been in have always been bad.
Agreed.
With the Jets, the Panthers, and then where he was somewhere else. But, he
was with the 49ers
for
as a
just
backup
a bit.
last
For just a
year.
bit, yeah, backup. But, I guarantee if you put him on that team, you can win some games.
Well, he played at that. I think he played in a good chunk of the end of the game against. They pulled Purdy on Christmas last year, and he looked good. He led a touchdown drive.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that circumstances and no disrespect to Brock Purdy because I like the kid, but I think Sam Darnold could almost do the same thing in San Francisco.
I agree.
Just manage the game and get it to the playmakers.
If he could avoid turnovers, I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, good opening for him, and I think when we were picking divisions, I had the Bears dead last in that, and I stick by it. And I think I had the Vikings third, but I thought they could be around a 500 team.
Yep.
I just don't. I don't see them obviously being better than Green Bay or Detroit.
I think I picked them to finish second.
I think you did.
I think I picked Green Bay to finish third, and I just did not. I don't buy Jordan Love, who, by the way, had the 3rd or 4th lowest QBR in week 1. He completed only 50% of his passes. He was not good.
Yep.
Had 4 turnover-worthy throws. All right, you have one more good?
Yeah. I think you got to be impressed with what the Bucs did. They weren't playing a very good team, but Baker Mayfield was great. 289, 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
QBR of 86. But going back to that game is Baker looked good. I really do think it's Kingsbury who's the OC in Washington now, right?
Yes.
I think that's going to be a really, really good fit, Jaden Daniels, because I just saw him and they go quick, and I saw what they're trying to do. And
I like it.
You have Dan Quinn, who's obviously a good defensive coordinator, but can't do anything with the offense. So
he's going to let Clint Kingsbury do his thing.
Do everything. So I think in 2 years' time, they could be real dangerous if they keep the band together and get some, offense alignment and then figure it out on defense. Yep. But I think they can. But he's at least Daniel's in at least a little bit better situation than Nick's. He's got Scary Terry and I always forget the other kid's name, but they have okay receivers in Washington. They're not great by any stretch, but Bucs. Going back to the Bucs, they look good, and that division they play in is terrible.
Oh yeah.
The Saints look good, but they're playing the Panthers. So I don't know. I wouldn't look too far into that one. So
I really shocked at how bad. I know the Panthers are not good, and I guess And as we both said, the jury's still out on Bryce Young, but it didn't look like it was improved at all. I heard a lot of reports this offseason that the Panthers were going to be better and that, Bryce Young looked better and all that stuff. Now, they didn't really get too much help for him on the pass catching side of things. Like, I think Adam Thielen's still their top guy, but he was like 13 of 30 with 2 interceptions. I mean, it was bad. It was real bad. The only guy who had a lower QBR than Bryce Young week 1 was Deshaun Watson.
Man, yeah, he was real.
His QBR was 9 out of 100. 9. Yes, it was pathetic. Okay, the bad now, and I'll start with a team that you predicted would be a dumpster fire this year, and that was the Jacksonville Jaguars, up 14-0 against the Dolphins, blow the lead. They were still up 17-7 with 2 minutes to go in the third, and Travis Etienne was literally walking into the end zone to score, the running back, and dropped the ball, hit it off his own leg, or I don't even know what happened. It was a touchback. And on the next play, Tyreek Hill scores the 80-yard touchdown that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, that was brutal. I mean, the Jags just can't close games.
And the next series was where Doug Peterson went for it on his own 32-yard line on 4th and 1 and got stuffed.
They were the team. They were the ones that blew that lead, or did they come back against the Chargers?
Came back against the Chargers.
Okay, so that was when they came back.
They were down 28-0.
Well, that's good. I got that reversed, and I was like, this is just becoming a habit here.
But they did do it a lot last year. They did blow it a lot. They did blow leads a lot last year. But
yeah, it's crazy. If Etienne scores here, they win, obviously. So
yeah, they go up 24-7. Instead, they ends up Dolphins walk it off on a 52-yard Jason Sanders field goal. Okay.
Yeah, and Dolphins didn't look great either, by the way. I mean,
no, they looked very, very subpar.
Yeah.
Got a bad?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I guess I mean, you just kind of touched on it, but Jordan Love making all that money and not looking very good. He just wasn't very good in the game, and to make matters worse, he got hurt at the very end. So I don't know how long he's gonna be out.
They said 3 to 4 weeks.
Reed looked awesome. He was the one shining star for them. I mean, he's great. Of course, I didn't start him on 2 fantasy teams. Left like 40 points on the bench.
I texted you last night. I don't know if you saw it. You're not dead yet. Breece Hall could
hilarious.
Score because Cooper Kupp went off.
Because Cooper Kupp went up and Montgomery had like 12 points in overtime. Yeah. So if I came back and beat Nick, that'd be one of the worst fantasy beats ever because he was up like 60-something points, I think, before those guys.
And we're a non-PPR league.
Yeah. And Cooper Kupp got nothing for 14 catches, but just the yards and
But just the fact that Cooper Kupp probably doesn't get that game if Nakua doesn't go out, because they targeted him 22 times in the game after he went out. So
did they say what was wrong with Nakua?
It's a knee. He's been dealing with that all off season, I think.
Got it.
But I don't know if I don't think it's serious, but who knows? He might sit out a week or two.
Yeah. So Jordan Love making all that money and just not being great, and obviously once again week 1, but it just getting hurt as well. I mean, that was worst case scenario for the Packers. The NFL makes them go to Brazil to play. They lose the game, and they lose their quarterback on basically the last play of the game on this dog shit field they're playing. I'm sure their fan base is like really fucking pissed off. I mean, it's like that is as brutal as it gets to lose in that fashion. And then lose your quarterback for at least probably what they say a month. So I mean,
they
real
lost some money going and playing over there. There's no way that they made money off that game. Maybe in the long run, expanding.
Well, that's
South
the whole
America.
NFL. That's what they want to do. But I mean,
I get it. But
all right.
I
don't know how you draw sticks and get the short end of the stick of that one.
No,
that's gotta be.
It's pretty bad.
Well, the only thing that's worse is I think. Technically, was
that a Packers home game?
No. It was an Eagles home game.
Okay.
So, if the Eagles would have lost and it was one of their home games, that would have been. But
that's the only saving grace for the Packers. It's like, okay, well, if you go to Philly, you probably lose that game anyway.
Sure.
So I guess you could look at that way.
Losing your quarterback really, whether you think he's good or not, still kills him.
Oh yeah. All right, we'll go to the ugly because there was more ugly than bad, I think. And I'll say, I'm gonna do 2. I'll do 1, then you do 1. But so. 1 I'm going to do for sure is the Titans. I had the Titans +4. It was one of my best bets of the week. And they were up 17-0 at half. They're up 17-0 in the first half, up 17-3 at halftime, still up 17-10 going into the fourth quarter with the ball. End up losing and not covering, losing by a touchdown. The Bears finished with 148 yards of total offense and did not score an offensive touchdown. In fact, did not score an offensive point. It was all field goals I'll take it back. They got 1 2-point conversion. So they scored 2 points on offense. They did not. They were all field goals, a blocked punt return for a touchdown, and then the worst of all, when the Titans blew the lead, we're still only down by, or still were up by 1 and had the ball. And on 3rd and 11, Will Levis, against a team who has not scored an offensive point the entire game, tries to flip the ball like a shovel pass out. Brett Favre it, pick 6. I mean, it was like disaster, the worst disaster that could ever happen.
That underhand shovel was just brutal.
And
I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And then just floated it up. The guy grabbed it and scored. I was like, oh my God.
Literally, all I see was like, I see the flip and I'm thinking like, please don't be intercepted. And then I'm like just registering Turner behind me go like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, that's a touchdown. Like, motherfucker, unreal. Like, that's he's gone. That's my bet right there.
That's a bad beat, Scott Van Pelt.
Bad beat.
Mine will be, and I know you had this one too, but it's got to be the New York Giants are the worst. I think they're going to win 3 or 4 games. I apologize to you, Steven and Zach, Cousins. And they're big Giants fans, and they're going to be horrible this year. They thought they shored up the offensive line. They look horrible. But look, I got to stop defending my boy Danny Dimes. It's time. It's time, Danny. And I've always been kind of a fake Danny Dimes fan to rub people the wrong way, but it's time that he rides off into the sunset. I mean, he was horrible. And it started to show how bad he was when it was like the Texans preseason game where he threw that 1 pick trying to avoid a safety for a walk-in touchdown.
Yep.
But they're horrible. I think they're going to win. I don't know what their schedule is, but I'd be shocked if they won more than 4 games. Be shocked. I mean, they're not like the Patriots, who beat the Bengals yesterday. Obviously, that wasn't good for you either with y'all's
Survivor League.
But like the Patriots played good, sound defense, and they know their offense can't do shit. So it's going to be Brissett scrambling, short throws, and trying to possess the ball.
Yeah.
The Giants are trying to run like, the annexation of Puerto Rico play from the Little Giants at all times with the worst offensive line and Danny Dimes back there. It's a fucking disaster. I think you just get rid of everyone. I think it's
even Dayball.
Yeah, no, he's got to go to. You just got to. It's a hard reset. You got to get rid of everybody. I mean, it's whoever the GM's there that paid Danny Dimes. He's obviously gone too. To make it even funnier, though, I saw a video, and I don't know who lets the New York assholes buy the players like when they leave, but like. Leaving the stadium, I guess, you have to walk. Now, they have it roped off, of course, and security are walking out with them. But Danny Dimes is walking out with his backpack, and everybody's like, I'm going to need $1 million, Danny. I'm going to need $1 million of that money. Your ass, Danny Dimes. Screaming at him the whole way to the parking lot. I was like, oh, God.
Look.
New York, man.
New York. It's tough. Look, here, the only thing I will give him is he's horrible. He's horrible. He's bad. And when I saw him get that contract, I was like, that's absolutely idiotic. But they have nobody except a rookie wide receiver.
Agreed. And that's why that's why I've always defended him. And I still, crazy enough, I almost think that weirdly enough, the jury is legitimately still out on him.
Yeah, we don't know.
And it's crazy to say because my take was I really am ready to go. He does make horrible decisions, but he got sacked 5 times. If he got sacked 5 times and he threw 2 picks, he probably could have been sacked 10 times.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's nobody fucking open, so he's trying to force it down the field. And I'm sure he looks. Listen, it's half him being bad and half his circumstances for sure. But
no, I completely agree.
Now the contract is fucking nuts, though. I mean, that's still. I mean, the paying him that was just insanity. So, I mean,
I don't know why Dayball waited for a job and then took that one. He should have just, if you're going to wait, you should have just waited and gotten a better one. That was a bad situation. He just thought, I'll be able to, Danny Dimes is okay. I think they hadn't given him the contract yet, maybe in there, but supposedly I heard, and I could be wrong, I heard that unless the Giants are what you're saying, if they're that bad, if they win 3 games this year, they may just fire Dayball. But my understanding is they want to give Dayball a chance with his own quarterback because Danny Dimes, he does not like Danny Dimes whatsoever. He wants to be able to run. So if they win 5 games, if they're just not dead last this year and it's just they're losing every game like they did in week 1, which it's hard to believe they're not going to if they lost to Sam Darnold by that much, but I did like what the Vikings did, so I'm not going to shit on the Vikings. I picked them to finish 2nd in the division. Regardless, I think that there's a chance that if they just win 5 or 6 games,
I think more than likely they keep him.
Daboll.
I think more than likely, if it's 5 or 6, they keep him. I just see them winning like 3 games.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think he's got to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, who is he going to put in there? I don't know who their backup quarterback is, but they got to try something.
I think it's Drew Lock, isn't it?
If there's Drew Lock, just get Drew Lock in there.
I think he's injured right now.
Okay. So as soon as he comes back healthy, you have
Drew Lock.
You got to put Drew Lock in there and see if this is just solely Danny Dimes being that
fair.
bad. Yeah.
That's fair.
Just throw Drew Lock in there. He's not good, but he's serviceable. Like, whatever.
Right.
So put him in there.
And at least then like you said, if it's
how bad our roster is or it's just how bad Danny
exactly,
Dimes is.
100%. Because, like looking, I don't think they have that. They finished last in the division last year, so I don't think their schedule is like atrocious. They should have a relatively, doable schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do another ugly here. I'm between 2 of them here. I was going to do quarterback play in general. This is crazy. 16 of the 26 quarterbacks in week 1 threw for under 200 yards. 7 quarterbacks threw at least 2 picks and 15 threw at least 1. No rookie quarterback looked good. It was bad. I mean, that was the worst week of quarterback play that I've seen in the NFL in a long time. I don't know if it has to do with having the preseason where no one plays, having a week off in between.
I think that's it. I think it's just the fact that they get almost no game reps anymore before the season starts.
Yeah.
It's like maybe they play a half through a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. So
And I'm just surprised that, considering that too, though, that the defenses aren't a little bit worse. But I guess it's just offense is so much more about rhythm and flow.
timing.
Yeah. And
defense.
so it's just, But, sorry. So I was going to do one more. That was kind of like a small one. And the Steelers winning their first game without scoring an offensive touchdown.
That's the Steelers.
That's the Steelers.
Who they are.
Those
are the Mike Tomlin Steelers.
Backup quarterback.
They're going to go 500 or better this year. I told you.
I'm telling you, they're not.
Yeah,
they're not going 500 or better.
I'm telling you, they are.
The only way they do is if if Justin Fields is the starter. Justin Fields is the starter. They're not winning. They're not winning 9 games. They're going 8-9, or maybe. And like I said,
8-1.
Sorry, you did say that.
They're going to have a tie.
You said they're going 500. They're winning 8 games, and I said, "What are you talking about? There's 17 games." You go, "No, they're 100%
There's going to be a tie. I
8-1.
guarantee you. It's the most Steeler thing ever. There will be a tie. They'll be 8-1, and they'll miss the playoffs. But he will not go below 500.
I fucking love that. But Chris Boswell, 6 field goals. Justin Fields was terrible, but Kirk Cousins was worse. And that was.
I love how Boswell's just been there forever. Tom's like, he's my guy.
He's nailing field goals still.
Now he's still good.
That Atlanta team was ugly. You have any other ugly, or you want to move on?
Nah, the Atlanta was pretty bad, but we can move on. I mean, I think we pretty much touched.
We did. We touched on Danny Dimes,
it.
Panthers quarterback play.
Danny Dimes, jeez,
gosh, it was bad. Okay, we'll do in between here. We'll do some news or fake news. By the way, remember, if you are new to the show, we used to do predictions and picks on the show at the end, but now we have a separate pick'em show. We said it was going to be out last week. It wasn't. Extenuated circumstances.
Work in progress.
It's a work in progress. We only want to post it. We only want to post content if it's really good. And we not that we think we're phenomenal at this, but we do a pretty good job with this, we think. We have good chemistry together. The pick'em show was not good enough to post the first week, okay?
It was all over the place.
It was all over the place. I mean, Big Dog was showing pictures of me as a baby with my teeth all fucked up, and there was a lot of shit going on there, but regardless. Okay, we're gonna go to news or fake news here. News or fake news. I don't have a WNBA or not, unfortunately, this week.
That's okay.
I got too caught up in the games yesterday and didn't make them, so it will be back next week. If your favorite segment is WNBA or not, I apologize, but we will have it next week. I have to kind of stagger it because I'm going to run out of players.
Yeah, he's going to run out of players. Well, first of all, I'm not going to remember them. So you could
double
double up on players for sure.
Throw them back in the Rolodex. But I was
absolutely perfect. It was history perfect on WNBA or not last week.
It was historical. It was an incredible performance. In fact, if it really was, you would have been the player of the week. You'd be on the wall of grit.
I think I even got all the news stories too, or maybe I missed one.
You missed the very final news story.
Yeah,
it was about. Yeah. It was. I kind of tricked you. It was about because we had actually talked about it in a previous show about how they still have the 3rd emergency quarterback. And then, that week, they annexed it. They got rid of it. And I was like, well,
that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? Yeah, I do remember that. I did miss. It was not perfect.
And on WNBA,
it's like taking a no-hitter into the 9th and giving up a hit.
Well,
2 outs.
You did throw a perfect game. You not a no-hitter. You threw a perfect game in WNBA or not, because not only did you get all 5, you got the exact bonus one when I threw up Blake Griffin as a woman. and you got Blake Griffin. Legitimately, it was a gender swap, and you called it. That's a perfect game in WNBA or not?
Yeah, it is.
You just couldn't follow it up with a no-hitter. All right.
Couldn't do it.
It's time for news or fake news. Number 1, Angel Reese injured her wrist this past week and has been ruled out for the remainder of the season.
Hey, let's pour one out for my girl Angel. My favorite player in the WNBA. A season that ultimately would have ended in Rookie of the Year without a doubt. The best rookie in the WNBA.
You're the biggest troll, I swear.
My God, is she good. I mean, grabs, rebounds. Angel, we love you on this show. Dylan's coming around. We're a Sky podcast, Chicago Sky, through and through. And the fact that she's done for the year is absolutely disgusting. It's news. And I have a feeling that, like, Caitlin Clark's somehow behind this. Behind the wrist injury. I don't know what happened, but Caitlin Clark's behind it. And it's sickening that Caitlin Clark had to injure Angel Reese to get Rookie of the Year.
You are the biggest troll. We know you're a Caitlin Clark fan on this show. You were talking 2 weeks ago about how Angel Reese is out there throwing up fucking gang signs, okay? You're not... Please.
There's nothing wrong with that. Please. It's America.
He is not an Angel Reese fan. He's trolling the audience right now. He is a Caitlin Clark fan. He's what I call, he's a closet WNBA fan. I know
and there's a lot of things I just said on the show. That one is on the show. That one is definitely not true. I got into it at my brother's house. All I know is I was drinking on my brother's back porch. You'll love this. And the elementary school principal up in Bernie at one of the schools, I won't reveal, but there's multiple, his wife's back there, and we're all sitting there talking. And apparently I just remember talking shit about the WNBA and her being like, oh, you don't like, I was like, no. Listen, I like women's tennis. I like women's soccer. I even watch women's soccer. I just draw the line on the WNBA. But I told her I don't even like the real NBA. And her husband was like shaking his head. He's like, yeah, that's fair enough. But she was not happy about it.
That's hilarious. I love it. Yeah.
Big Angel Reese guy.
You do not like, we did have the Indiana Fever game on in the afternoon yesterday. They came back and won in overtime. What a performance. Caitlin Clark this week was phenomenal.
I'm trying to watch the NFL, and this asshole has the WNBA game on the bottom right TV with like 70 volume, and his dad's like telling him to turn it down, and it's still all the way up because he's trying to piss off his dad.
Hold on. Who turned the game on? Big Dog did. I didn't even know they were playing, and he turned it on. Swear to you, I did not turn it on.
That's disgusting. Now, I'll talk to him about that here in a second.
Yeah, and
I don't believe that for a second.
That's true. And at the end of the game, I did turn the volume up. And it was a phenomenal overtime. Caitlin, 26 points, almost a triple-double again. She had a triple-double earlier this week.
And funny news, though, Dave Portnoy did say he was going to get like an Indiana Fever tattoo on his ass if they win the championship.
That's awesome.
He said, if I win $10 million, I'll get a Fever tattoo.
I mean, he kind of has to. What he really should do is do the whole, like if you're like from Entourage, Billy Walsh, where he gets the Medellin tattoo on his back, the big Pablo Escobar tattoo all across. That's what he should get. Caitlin Clark's whole body and face, like an Indiana Fever jersey across his back if he wins $10 million. That's a fair thing. I'm gonna tweet that at him and tell him he should do that. Okay, number 2, news or fake news, and you were correct in the first one. News or fake news? Bill Belichick announced on the Pat McAfee show this week that he is no longer interested in returning to coaching in the near future.
I'm gonna say fake news.
Yeah, that's fake news. You're 2 for 2. He actually said supposedly yesterday that he eyes a return to coaching in 2025. He will be back looking for an NFL job. Well, whether he gets one or not, that's
hey, dude, he's got a new 22-year-old girlfriend to pay for these days.
Does he actually?
Yeah, something like that.
22. Wow.
She was like an ex-cheerleader for the Pats, which is hilarious. Like, look it up. I don't know if that's news or fake news, but I think that's actually news. It's something along those lines. She's in her 20s, I think.
That's actually. Hold on. Yeah, I have to look this up.
He's pulling the Mike Zimmer.
Did Mike? Oh yeah, Mike Zimmer. But Mike Zimmer's like married, isn't he? Or they're like, or they've been dating for like years, right?
I don't know. He was dating someone in her 20s too.
Oh yeah, 23-year-old. She's a 23-year-old girlfriend named Jordan Hudson.
Oh, Bill Belichick,
dude,
you dirty old dog.
Good for him.
Good for Bill.
That's actually fucking hilarious. All right, yeah. Bill, you're going on the wall of grit.
The wall of grit.
All right, you're 2 for 2. Number 3, the Steelers Head coach Mike Tomlin announced Sunday after the game that Justin Fields will be the team's starting quarterback going forward.
That's fake news. He didn't commit to that. Justin Fields was definitely not good enough to commit to that after the game.
Thank you. Yes, you're right.
Okay. 3 for 3.
3 for 3. You're on a heater here. Okay. We're going to go to a little NBA here. Jamal Murray signs a 4-year, $208 million extension with the Nuggets.
That's news. I broke that to you.
You did break that to me, and I had already seen it on ESPN, but we were talking about the absurdity of giving that guy $50+ million a year.
I mean, it seems like it's one of those deals where everybody's getting it, so
I can't believe that.
Pretty crazy.
I also, in terms of content, since they brought up new contracts, and you went 4 for 4, by the way. I think that's the first time you've ever gone 4 for 4 on fake news or news. You're on a heater the last couple weeks, I have to say. Go buy a lotto ticket. But Dak Prescott, I just want to talk about this before we move on from the NFL. Dak Prescott, I woke up to a text from you, and it's like, eventful morning. Tyreek Hill gets arrested, and Dak Prescott gets a new contract. And I was like wondering, I didn't even look. I just assumed that they paid him, around $50 million a year, 45, 50. And nope, 4 years, $240 million, $60 million annually, the most by any quarterback in NFL history. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on it have been always the same, I think, where I say it's just the organizations are basically held hostage because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, should they have paid him that much money? No. Is that going to be the going rate for quarterbacks in 2 years? Yes, because the cap's going to keep going up. So, yes, it is. In the regular season, he's worth that money. He's never been able to win in the postseason. Yeah. So, I don't know what you can, it's got to be a frustrating situation for Cowboys fans. I don't give a shit. I just like watching the dumpster fire from afar. But, I actually think the team, like I said, I do think that team is going to end up winning that division. Now, are they going to win a postseason game? Probably not. He's probably going to do the same thing he always does. Yeah. But I don't know. And you can't, it's like the Cowboys are going to be too good to get a top draft pick. And to move up in the draft, to buy your scratcher ticket, to hopefully hit on one of these quarterbacks coming out.
Yeah.
What else? If they didn't sign Dak Prescott, what would the other options be?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You could go, and people would be like, well, you go get a serviceable guy that's going to cost you $10 million a year. It's like, okay, well then, right, you're going to be competitive, but in my mind, they can't win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, so how are they going to win a Super Bowl with him? So if the ultimate goal is winning the Super Bowl, I think, like I said, you could argue both sides of it.
Right.
Because, sure, you could probably spend the money elsewhere and make a more complete team and make sure you sign Parsons and take care of all those stuff, which I think is more important. But I told you, the second they paid CeeDee Lamb, it would almost be just, you couldn't not pay Dak Prescott, in my opinion. Because once you pay CeeDee Lamb, okay, and you let Dak walk, and it's like, okay, we have all this money to use on a quarter. Okay, well, who are you going to bring in that's going to make you more competitive? And if you're not more competitive, you're just throwing money in a trash can, paying these guys this amount of money because you're never going to be able to bring anybody that can make you a Super Bowl contender.
Yep.
Eventually that could happen without a doubt. You could get somebody, but it's just, like I said, I get both sides of the argument. I'm not saying the Cowboys are winners or losers. Do I think they overpaid for him? Yes. I would have made him play out this year because in my opinion, there's no reason to not make him play it out because I don't think, unless they legitimately thought
he would leave,
he would walk. But I really don't. A lot of people had linked him to the Raiders. They think the Raiders would have gone after him because they would have had the money to spend and they need a quarterback.
Do you really want to go to the Raiders?
I don't know. I think ultimately he would have wanted to stay with the Cowboys. I do feel like, these guys with their egos feel like, sometimes underappreciated. But dude, if the Cowboys matched anybody else's offer, I think he would have stayed.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So
his whole life is here.
To me, why not make him pay out this deal where he's got real urgency and real care? And he would have to show he could do it in the playoffs. Otherwise, guess what? You're not getting $60 million a year. You're getting $50. Save yourself $10 million a year, essentially. Right. What they could have done. My whole thing is, if they win, this year, if they hadn't re-signed him, and they make it all the way, they win the Super Bowl. He's still going to cost you $60 million.
Right.
So why pay him? Why pay him now? That's what I don't understand.
I agree with that.
It's not like he's not going to play. He's going to make a fortune this year. Like the guy's going to play.
The only reason, like you said, would have been if they legitimately thought. I agree with you. I think he would not have left regardless. But I did hear a lot of people saying Dak's been kind of like open to leaving. Like if he doesn't get the contract he wants. But I think you're right. Like if he has a great season. And the Raiders went out and said, we'll give you $60 million a year. Dallas would have come back and said, okay, we'll give you $60 million a year. I think they did the exact same thing. I think he likes living in Dallas. I think he likes being a Cowboy. He's the center of attention always. Like, is there a bigger position in sports than the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? No, probably not, right?
Probably not.
Probably not. So,
yeah, I just think it could, in the long run, could only have made him, could have only gotten cheaper for you, essentially. And I really don't think, I think that was all, I don't think he was ever going to walk. Now, if his agent's
probably
like, hey,
so.
His agent's like, hey, the agent was telling him, hey, like, if you don't give us this deal, like, we're going somewhere else in the offseason.
Right.
That's all it was. And
yeah,
the Cowboys didn't call their bluff. They signed him and, whatever.
Should have signed him to like a year ago, like extended him a year ago, got him for $5 million a year cheaper, right? Like legitimately, they would have got him for cheaper.
Yep.
And it's not like he's young. Like, at the end of this contract, I don't know that he's going to be re-signed again, right? Like, I don't know. Is this year and 4 more years?
How many years did he get?
It's this year plus extension.
4.
It's just 4 more. Yeah, this is his last year plus 4. So it's like, I mean, I think he's what, 29? He's 31. So he's 36 at the end of this contract. That's it, right? This is the last contract for him, more than likely.
Yeah.
At least with Dallas, I would think. I don't think they're going to, unless he's just, still playing. I don't see him playing at that high level. The only other, and I want to move on from this, but I just thought it was very weird that they waited to do this. Like, if $60 million to me is the most you were going to give him, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think he was ever going to get any more expensive than that. Even if he wins the Super Bowl, he's not getting more than 60.
Right. And so why did you wait until the day of the first game to do this? I don't get that. Like, if you knew the whole time you were going to pay him 60, you should have done it, a month ago, 2 months ago, way before that, or let him play it out, like one or the other. If you're going to, like, there's no way he was asking for 65, 70 million. You can only ask for 30% of the cap, and nobody's giving you 65. He was never getting 65. So, I mean, Mahomes makes 45. Come on. Mahomes makes 40. Dak makes $15 more million a year than Mahomes.
Yeah, that'll change very quickly. But
I agree. Mahomes is doing that because of wanting to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to some college football, and we'll do biggest winners and losers from college football. So we'll start with biggest winners. Winning. I'll start, and you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Texas.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, they smoked them.
About the Texas Longhorns, baby. So yeah, this one's obvious. They dismantled Michigan. 31-12. That score isn't even indicative of how much of a blowout that game was if you watched it.
I watched very little of it just because I had niece's soccer games going on and other stuff. But as soon as I was going to be like rushing back to the house to see it, but you could tell just looking at the game cast that Texas was kicking their ass. Like the game was never going to get close, so it didn't really matter.
It was never going to get close. Obviously, Michigan isn't what they were last year. Not even close. They lost their quarterback. They lost their top running back. They lost their top wide receivers. They lost their head coach.
They lost everybody.
They lost everybody. Right?
We were shocked that they had them ranked as high as they did.
100%. We were both very down on Michigan, but I do have to say this: 31-6 was the score until I think Michigan scored with 2 minutes to go in the game to make it 31-12. The entirety of the game, what was surprising to me was Michigan's defense was still good, and they looked really good last week. And Texas controlled the line of scrimmage. Jaden Blue, who's essentially their second string running back because C.J. Baxter was the starter, he was out for the year. Jaden Blue got hurt in the game. They were running. Jaden Blue did play most of the game, but he was in and out. He was injured, banged up. They were playing guys who were a true freshman 3-star and a sophomore 3-star from last year, and they rushed for 150 yards. They moved the ball efficiently. Quinn Ewers has established himself as the Heisman favorite. In the first half, he threw for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, Texas did what they do when they get up. which is they take the foot off the gas and they just run the ball and they control the clock. This is what, I mean, if you watch them when they get up, they do this against good teams. They just.
Yeah, they did that. Sarkisian's, I mean, I don't hate it, but he has blown games because.
Oh, no, I can't stand how he manages the ends of games. I think this one was a little different because they didn't have the offensive firepower to come back.
Sure.
But
Texas defense was so good.
Yeah, but my point was Quinn's numbers, if you look at it at the end of the game, weren't like, it was like 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wasn't like incredible.
So you're a Quinn fan now?
No, I still think Arch is gonna be like, if I would have gone with Arch at the beginning of the year, because I think by the end of the year you would be in the college football playoff anyway, and he would be better. But
yeah, fair.
I like Quinn. I have to say he played really, really good in this game in a hostile environment. You can't really ask for look, I'm a guy who overreacts to shit with my teams. Obviously, I'm an emotional person when I watch games. I say shit. Quinn Ewers, it's hard to ask for a better quarterback in college than that. Like, beyond like a guy who's just like transcendent, right? Like Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson, or right, like it's hard to ask for. So he's an awesome college quarterback, and Sarkisian is an awesome coach. And I say negative things about him because I get pissed when bad things happen to UT, but dude, they were impressive. This was an impressive win. It was a big win. Texas, there is no like Texas is back. Texas is going to be a contender for as long as Sarkisian is there, and until
they should be with him or without him. Really,
really, they should,
especially with the money they have now and the money they can give kids. I mean, it's like
100%.
UT should be the one of the flagship programs.
Did you know Michigan had won 28 straight games in that building? They broke a 28-game home win streak. Also,
I believe it.
Last thing I want to say, and then I'll let you give a biggest winner. Did you see what the quarterback from Michigan said in his post game, Davis Warren? And his kid's a nice. He came back. He had leukemia.
No, I didn't see it.
He had leukemia and fought. It was a good story. I like the kid. I'm rooting for him. But he said, "We knew it was going to be a tight game. They're good, but we shot ourselves in the foot. We let them win the game. We do a few things differently, and that's a much closer game in the fourth quarter. And then it's just whoever makes plays in the fourth quarter.
That's what the Michigan kid said?
The Michigan quarterback said, dude, they got absolutely mollywopped.
That game was not, look, dude, Dave Portnoy got on the plane at halftime. You're getting beat so bad. He said, let's load up the plane. Let's get out of here.
Still undefeated in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Still undefeated in the Big Ten. Yeah, that's a wild take. Some kids just, the delusion helped, but that attitude that guy had probably is why he's a quarterback at Michigan and why he beat cancer, right? So I mean,
I agree.
It's good to have sometimes that level of delusion and self-belief that's all it really was.
It's not good if you're big dog, because then the delusion is a cancer to everybody else.
Please
go ahead. Biggest
70,000 feet, smartest man on earth with his dog Jude, smartest dog in the world.
Biggest winner for you.
Tennessee, I think. They blew the doors off NC State. Like you said, if it wasn't for an early pick six, who knew? Probably a tighter game. But I think Nico's really good, man. I've talked about it. I mean, I think that maybe the Heisman next year for Nico, probably.
He's like a better Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, he'd probably come in as the favorite. He's got a better arm than Hooker. And then maybe, as far as running, he's like right there. He's a big kid. So I think that there's Tennessee solid, man. The more and more I watch them, the more and more I think they might somehow sneak into the playoffs. So
they very well might.
I don't know exactly what their schedule looks like, but they look pretty damn good. So that would be and then I'll start with losers just because we're going there next, and it's Notre Dame.
Real quick,
right?
by the way, sorry, it is Notre Dame.
Right?
Six of the top 7 teams in the AP poll are SEC.
I saw
teams.
that. Yeah,
it's the first time it's ever happened for one conference.
It's crazy how crazy stacked it is.
Sorry to interrupt your biggest loser being Notre Dame.
It's Notre Dame, and Jeremiah knows it. It's Notre Dame. It's a terrible loss at home. They shouldn't have been 28-point favorites. I mean, I think that's crazy. And he even told you that before the game.
Yeah, I was asking him.
But NIU returned, I think, 9-9 on each side of the ball. They're they should win the MAC. I mean, they're solid.
They're good.
Or be in the argument for it. Notre Dame just looked terrible. I mean, they played a really, really bad game, and like Jeremiah had said, and I texted you, when you come off an emotional win and either emotional win or emotional loss, big game, and then you're playing these smaller teams. Notre Dame the last 3 years has been historically bad, so that was the deal. So
they've lost in Marcus Freeman's time at Notre Shame, which is what they should be called now.
Oh my gosh,
Notre Shame!
How dare you?
Notre Shame. Marcus Freeman has lost to Toledo, Marshall, 3-9 Stanford, And now Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois had never beaten a top 10 team in the history of their school. They were like 0-169 or something like that.
No one beats them 170 times in a row.
That's right. They did.
They're on the board.
Not today. And
on the board.
But yeah, dude. I mean, look, this was a pathetic performance. I was watching this game with Jonathan at the end of the game, and we were like, they're not actually going to lose this game. And then Riley Leonard threw the pick with like 5 minutes to go, and Northern Illinois just ran it down their throat. It was also, and look, I texted you this during the game. Those, like you said, those officials, there were a couple officials who were Notre Dame graduates, because the spot, it was a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 4, and they ran it, and the kid clearly got a first down. And the official marked him like a full yard short, which was going to save time for Notre Dame to be able to get the ball back. And not only did they review it and say he was short, which meant Northern Illinois now had to kick a field goal with 37 seconds as opposed to 1 second left. And when they go and review it, the clock was supposed to run after that, and Notre Dame was supposed to have to use their final timeout. And then the clock did not run, and Notre Dame got to save that timeout. The clock was running. He got a first down tackle.
I wasn't paying that close of attention to the clock.
And they talked about it after the game. They completely, so they got a free timeout and 40 seconds to go win the game, and still Marcus Freeman didn't even use the timeout, and with 5 seconds left decided, instead of trying to get a few more yards and call timeout, because legitimately the difference between, I know you said it was a tough situation regardless, but the difference between a 50, 56, or 57-yard field goal and 62 in college is crazy, huge. Yeah. 57, maybe you have a chance.
I don't even think that was their. Jeremiah said, I just remember him saying this. It was a fuzzy day of drinking. No, it wasn't the main kicker. I think it was just their guy that had the guy that could potentially get it there if he caught it flush, right? Like their guy that does kickoffs maybe or whatever. Notre Dame is a guy for everything. So I think he was the one that was sent out there, and he just, obviously kicked it super low to try to get it there. So, anyway, bad loss.
Yeah,
Marcus Freeman's made a habit of that. It's not good, so they got to figure that out.
Does he survive this year? After this year, does he survive? If they miss the playoff, 12-team playoff, which they may even go, if they win 11 straight, they may miss the playoff still. Now they're losing to them.
I think, though, if they win 11 straight, they get in. If they only lose 2 games total, I think he still has his job. If he loses 3, maybe he gets fired.
I think you get rid of him.
I don't know. I don't love the guy, so I'm not.
I think he's horrible, and I'm not.
He's a good recruiter. The whole thing is he's a good recruiter, right? That's the whole thing. But as far as running a program, I don't think he's.
Do you think that really matters now in this day and age? Being a good recruiter when you can just pay anybody, does it really matter if how much does recruiting matter when you're just paying kids anyway?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No. It definitely takes away from it. Yeah, for sure.
Not 100%. You still have to be likable and relate to the kids.
Right.
But
yeah,
I think like Nick Saban was talking about it, when I saw this, it was a while back. He was testifying for something in Congress, and it was his last year, and his wife was like, I don't even know why we do this anymore. She's like, it was the last year he was there. Normally, we recruit all these kids. We got into it to help develop kids and help kids. That's the whole point of doing this, and make them into men. And she's like, we have all the kids, all the recruits over to our house for dinner, that first week or whatever. And she's like, all the parents, they didn't care about anything I had to say. All they wanted to know was how much money they were going to get.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's just that's all college football. That's the sad part of what this has turned into.
Yeah, so now you're right. I mean, recruiting, it probably takes at least half of the real recruiting out of it, if not more. Probably more like 70%. Just how much you can get paid.
How much?
If a kid's gonna get paid, he's like, hey, this school's offering me $300,000, the other one's offering me $150,000, and I don't really like the coach of the 3. You're still gonna go to that school.
Yep.
So,
and I know that we've talked about this before a lot on the show, but they need to have some rules. They need to create some rules
for sure.
This is the Wild West still out there. Come on. We have to have some sort of, I don't care whether you're going to pay them as employees for the NCAA or if you're going to have it to where there's a limit on what they can make or, whatever. There's tiers. They need something. They can't just have
gotta figure something out.
Going out and having Cam Ward, the 10th best player in the portal, get $3.5 million, and Will Howard, who wouldn't have been a starting quarterback at Kansas State, get $1 million. It's just crazy to me. They need to fix it.
Got to figure out something.
Other biggest losers from this weekend. I'm gonna go with there was actually a lot. I'm gonna go with I guess it has to be Arkansas, right? Arkansas was up 17-0 on Oklahoma State.
Yep.
They blow the whole lead. Should have lost in regulation. Okie State missed a game-winning field goal. They were outgained. They outgained Oklahoma State by over 300 yards.
Yeah,
they had 650 yards of offense.
I don't know how they lost that. Like they were dominating that game. It's crazy that Oklahoma State came back and won it.
Unbelievable how bad it was. And I think Sam Pittman's probably going to get fired.
Yeah, and I think the kids actually really like Sam Pittman.
Of course they do.
And they play hard for him, so it's like it sucked for them I was rooting for Arkansas.
I was too.
And I like Mike Gundy, but I was rooting for Arkansas. I was like, man, this is such a big game for Arkansas for Pittman to keep his job and whatever. But would have
been a huge win.
We were talking, I think we were talking about it either on the podcast or off it about you seen the video where guys are talking about like college NIL money and how much Arkansas actually has. So it's like, I think what you're going to see is them go try to get the most high profile coach they can, whether that's like an Urban Meyer or someone, and say, hey, you have this amount of money. You can spend the same amount of money here as you can at, Ohio State or whatever. And they'll go get someone super high profile. I think that's what's going to happen.
Like they just did, like you said, with Calipari.
Yeah.
I mean, I always reminded when I saw Sam Pittman giving his interview, like, I don't know how we lost that game. And you look at the box score, it's head scratching, but
it's the Tyson chicken billionaire, right? That has all the money. Is that right?
And you see that's literally like on the background when he's talking. That's what I was gonna say. Is like it's Tyson.
And I think he's like, probably someone older. You have billions of dollars, so it's probably like, this is my hobby. This is what I want to put money into. I want Arkansas to win a national championship.
Yep.
So it's like owning a professional sports team for those guys now at this point, where you can pay that. It's like I want them to be this good.
Yep.
So
that's what it's literally.
And it's like when
you
have that much money. It's an expensive hobby. You're giving it back to your university anyway, and it's like, sure, you may not be profiting off it, but then they don't care.
Yeah,
it's like, this is your hobby.
They don't, and they feel like they're responsible for that. Like,
sure,
think about that. If you have all that money, you're never going to use it all anyway, and you're like, I can be the one to help this team win a national title. Like, I will go down in history as the person who paid for this to happen.
And the ones who actually had the biggest disservice to that is before he died is Boone Pickens from Oklahoma State. Like he's an oil. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
He's an oil tycoon.
Yeah.
So everything there is named after him. He gave so much money to the
stadium.
school.
The name of the stadium.
Yeah. And he gave so much money to the school. I don't know if they're like still getting that for NIL, but if he was around at like that age, he would have given Oklahoma State like millions to go win a national championship.
That's funny.
So,
that's like what Phil Knight's doing with Oregon. I mean, it's
exactly.
Literally, like the guy, whoever the Miami guy is who's paying for that. It's like when you can pay. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. When you can pay Lionel Messi, like $500 million or whatever he paid him in his contract. It's like the college football players are a rounding error. Like it's just not. It's not a lot of money to him.
Yep.
Giving kids 50 kids $100,000 or whatever, right? Like
100%.
Yeah. You have what other biggest losers? You have any other biggest losers? I have a few more if you don't.
Man, I think that although they won the game, Oregon's got to be one of them.
Thought you were gonna go there,
right? I
got
mean,
to be.
They had a punt return and a kick return for a touchdown. Otherwise, they lose. Not to mention, Bonehead drops the ball. Does the Deshaun Jackson drops the ball before the goal line? Luckily, one of his teammates just picked it up right away.
Do you see it live? Like when it happened live, were you like, oh, he dropped
I
that?
saw it happen live, and I was like, did he drop? And then obviously you don't have the camera of the other guy picking it up, so I went to review. I was like, dude, that's gonna be Boise State ball.
Yeah.
But luckily for homeboy that dropped that, his teammate picked it up right afterwards. And it was funny because the guy was like, should I pick it up? He's like, yeah, I might as well pick it up. He's like, it's only going to help the situation. So he picks the ball up to like make sure. It was pretty funny. You can see a split thought, like, I'm going to go celebrate. He's like, no, I'm going to pick it up. I'm pick it up. Just
that guy saved him. I wonder if he got the touchdown. He deserves the touchdown for picking it up because that was a huge play in the game.
He should get the touchdown, but he definitely dropped it before.
He definitely dropped it before. That's like and you definitely can see his thought process, and then you see him when he picks it up, kind of like looking around, like, is anybody gonna say anything? Like, and dude, bro, if that ball was not picked up by anybody, is that a touchback?
Yeah, if it's not picked up by anybody, it's a touchback.
Been a huge swing in the game right there.
Yep.
Yeah, they. I mean, look, we talked about them. They were one of the biggest losers last week. They almost lost to
the
Idaho.
Vandals.
Yeah, the Vandals.
Yep.
What is it? Kibby Dome?
Kibby Dome, Moscow, Idaho.
They Moscow. That was your trivia
name.
question last week for me. I did not. I only know only city I knew was Boise. Now I know Moscow too. Yeah, but they very well could have lost the game to Boise. Boise gave up 45 points to Georgia Southern last week, and Oregon still was not moving the ball that well. They only, like you said, 2 special teams touchdowns. What they score 38? I think it was 35-38 was the final score. So they didn't get to 40.
Yeah,
and scored 4 three offensive touchdowns the entire game. 3, right? Against a horrific secondary.
Yep.
Genty, by the way, was incredible. Again, we were talking about him last night. He might break the rushing touchdown record.
He might.
He needs
like
else.
5 or 6 against Portland State this week. He said
he's going to go for. I think he's going to go for 8.
He might.
I wonder what the over under.
Did he run for 3 against Oregon or 2?
2.
Okay.
He had 6.
But he's still. How many yards did he have?
180.
Yeah, I mean the guy's having a good year.
He's having a good year.
The guy's having a real good year.
He's averaging 200 yards and 4 touchdowns right now.
Yeah.
In 2 games, and it's only going to go up next week. We looked at their schedule last night. He has a legitimate chance to break Barry Sanders' touchdown record. Okay, maybe the yards record too. Last biggest loser for me is Penn State. Almost lost. Another almost lost. There was a lot of teams that struggled. Oklahoma damn near lost to Houston.
Yeah, and Houston was bad week 1.
Got killed by UNLV week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Bowling Green State, who beat Georgia Tech last year. Sorry. But Penn State was down at halftime. They were down in the third quarter, took the lead. I mean, Bowling Green had a drive to win the game or tie it. 2 drives. They threw 2 interceptions their last 2 drives where they have a chance to actually win the game. That was a big loser there.
It was they not good by Penn State.
I had them up there in my power rankings, and I'm going to do them real quick.
Yeah.
But I'll jump into that right now. But they're dropping. I'll put it that way. Okay. We'll go to week 3. Going into week 3, my college football, Coach League's college football power rankings. I'll try to go through these kind of quickly here. Okay. The only team who do you think is the only team that's going out? Say their name correctly.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Notre Shame. Notre Shame is out. Tennessee is in. That's my only shift in and out here. Okay.
Yeah.
But coming in at number 10, we're going to drop one of our biggest losers, and that's Oregon. Oregon, like we just said, talked about them plenty, right? Almost lose to Idaho and FCS team week 1. They come back. They play one of the worst secondaries in college football in the first week, and they still only scored 3 offensive touchdowns. I had Oregon 3 to start the year. They've dropped all the way to 10. If they continue this, they're playing with fire. They're probably going to get in the playoff, but Dylan Gabriel, again,
they don't look
not
good.
Great. No, they don't look good. And Dan Lanning, I thought he was going to get him up to play this game. They did not. Coming in at number 9, your Tennessee Volunteers. And like you said,
baby.
Like you said, Nico played awesome. They embarrassed NC State last week on a neutral site. It was in North Carolina too, so it was more of an advantage to NC State. And I thought NC State they were in my top 10 early in the year. I really thought they were going to be better this year, but they look horrible. Tennessee looks awesome, and that wasn't just a win. That was a beatdown. Tennessee moving into my top 10. They are number 9, and I legitimately think they're probably going to be a top 5 team pretty soon. The way they're trending, they're damn good. Number 8, coming in at number 8, Miami. They played Florida A&M this week. Okay, can't really move them. I moved them up. They were 10 last week, so I moved them up. I think Miami's really good. Mario Cristobal keeps them at 8 for me. I just cannot. I can't do it. I cannot get Georgia Tech out of my head. And so until I see something differently and then continue to win big games, I can't just keep moving them up. They have to do something. Coming in at number 7, another team I dropped, Penn State. I had them in my top 5 last week. And I'm dropping them this week because of what we just said. They damn near lost to Bowling Green State at home. And it wasn't just the fact that they almost lost. It was the fact that I was super, super impressed with their defense last week. And I thought they were going to be really, really good again. And Bowling Green State scored 27 points on them. Move the ball.
Must be in West Virginia is pretty bad.
West Virginia must be real bad.
Or it could just be week 1 stuff.
It is. And again, similar to Notre Dame, right? Like, that's a letdown spot. They came up not nearly as big as Notre Dame beating A&M,
right.
But you go and play West Virginia. It's not like you're a huge favorite. You play really, really well. Now you got to come back up and play Bowling Green State. Week 1, all the jitters and stuff. So that's what I'm gonna have. Penn State 7. I could see them, going. They're volatile. They could go either way. All these teams are this early in the year, right?
Yep.
Number 6, Missouri. They move up by default. They haven't played anybody. Nothing impressive about them so far. We won't get a test from them for a little while, but they'll move up to number 6. Number 5, Alabama. Speaking of teams that struggled, if you look at the final score, you're going to think South Florida actually played them really close. If you watch the game, it was a 1-point game going into the fourth quarter. It was 14.
Wow.
It was 14 to 13.
I heard a lot of people think South Florida was going to be pretty decent this year.
So if they had a quarterback who could throw the ball, legitimately, they would have won that. They would have beat Alabama. 100% they would have beat Alabama.
I didn't see any of that one.
He literally could not throw the ball. The fourth quarter was 28-3 South Florida. So, yeah, the kid for the quarterback for South Florida, 15 of 35 for 100 yards, 2.9 yards per pass. He just can't throw the ball. Like, he literally can't. He could run. He ran it for 108 yards, 23 carries for 108 yards. But, yeah, Jalen Milroe was not very good. Bama looked bad. I mean, it legitimately looked like they might lose the game. They struggled with South Florida last year. Same thing. Last year, though, that was in South Florida.
That was an ugly game raining. Yeah.
Yep, that was at Alabama this year, and they
Alabama started a quarterback in that game who now plays lacrosse at Notre Dame.
Wait, stop.
That kid.
Which kid?
Buckner or whatever.
Oh, Buckner?
Yeah, he was an All-American lacrosse player. So when he was originally at A&M, he was going to play football and lacrosse there.
No way.
And then he left, and then it didn't work out at Bama. So I believe he's back at Notre Dame playing lacrosse. I think that's what Jeremiah told me. It was something along those lines.
Huh. That's actually hilarious because that was one of the uglier performances by a quarterback ever.
I mean, that was bad. That's why he went back playing lacrosse.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. Alabama goes to Wisconsin this week, 15.5-point favorites. Remember,
Wisconsin stinks, so
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
They do stink. Remember, if you're new to this show, check out our Pick'em show. It'll be out on Wednesday. Okay, moving on. We have number 4, and that is going to be Ohio State. And again, a lot of these teams are moving up by default. Like, Ohio State didn't look good in week 1. A lot of people are super high on them. I'm not. And they did beat the living crap out of Western Michigan this week. And Western Michigan played Wisconsin pretty close last week, so it's not like they're terrible. But again, no test. We don't know until they play somebody good.
Yep.
And so we'll see. Ohio State number 4. Number 3, your Ole Miss Rebels. I mean, they just keep moving up. Who
do they play this week?
Who do they play this week, or who did they play last week?
Last week, yeah.
They played Middle Tennessee State last week, and I know
Jackson Dart have like 1 million yards and 5 touchdowns again.
He threw for 377 and a touchdown. 25 of 27 for 377 and a touchdown.
Pad those stats a little bit.
Need a few more touchdowns though. They scored 52 points.
I don't know what. Yeah.
Anyway,
come on, Lane.
Come on. We need a sober Lane, better version of Lane here now. Maybe not better, but
not as imaginative, but he probably designed better plays when he was drunk, but he's a little bit. He's got a better control of the football team on the sidelines.
There you go. There we go. He's not going to roll in there with his hair all fucked up.
So funny, dude.
He's a fucking trip, man. That guy's something. Number 2, okay, I'm going to do it.
Put Texas
number 2, Georgia Bulldogs, because they didn't play anybody this week.
Yeah.
And they might have beaten Clemson last week, but Clemson freaking blows. And that leaves number 1, my Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em, baby. We're number 1.
They'll probably lose this week, whoever they play.
They're playing UTSA, who lost to Texas State 42-3.
The Runners are going to smoke them.
Here you go. I'll say this live on air. If
you're going to eat dog shit like the Florida State guy?
If Texas loses to
great.
Let me clarify this. If Texas loses to UTSA this week, I will eat dog shit. However, I'm going to clarify this because knowing my luck, they'll lose. It's going to be a piece of our Chihuahua's dog shit, like a little piece, and it has to be hard, okay? So I'm not going to eat wet dog shit, all right? I'll lick, sorry, hold on. I'll lick it live on the show. I'll take a piece of the hard dog shit, and I'll lick it live on the show.
I like that.
Live on the show.
It's good that you clarified, though, because
I didn't want people coming after
3, 2, 1, Noel said, red Solo cup with a spoon, and then you got Big Cat going, it's got to be wet, fresh dog shit. So you backtracked. Dry Chihuahua shit, and you'll lick it.
I'll lick
fair
it.
enough.
That's
okay.
fair. I mean,
that's good.
That's fair. I'm not going to do anything more than that. I'm not crazy. All right. But I will do that if Texas loses to UTSA at home. They're 35-point favorites. Okay.
Fair. I like it.
All right. Well, my Horns, number 1. That's my power rankings for this week. I went through them a lot quicker.
I like it.
Okay, last thing, and then we'll be done with the show.
Yeah.
I got to give you the chance to talk U.S. Open. I know we talked last week. My girl, Emma Navarro, came up a little bit short. She played phenomenal in the semifinal against Sabalenka. Sabalenka, you told me this stat, and I can't believe that this is true, hits her forehand faster than any male tennis player on
She
tour.
was averaging, but I saw a video, and it's true. Patrick Miardiglu, who's like one of the big coaches, used to coach Serena. And the reason why, like, don't get me wrong, he said the same thing. He's like, don't get me wrong, she absolutely hammers the ball. But he goes, you have to realize the men play with spin and the women don't. Like Sabalenka, for instance, just goes up there and hits the ball as hard as she possibly can.
Really?
Because they're not quite as fast. So like if you can be aggressive and hit the ball that hard, it's going to be a clean winner. Whereas the men, you may hit a ball 85 miles an hour. Well, Alcaraz can still run that down, or someone like center. So he was saying that the men play with a lot more spin, but he goes, her forehand would be, still up. Like, she does hit it very hard. Like, the other guys could, basically he was saying the men could average 90 miles an hour if they wanted, but it's like they play a spin. But it was a funny stat because she did, and she was like kind of embarrassed. She's like, I guess I'm kind of manly for hitting it that hard, basically. But,
I will say that helps me with clarification, because I was saying, I'm not gonna lie, like during the Emma Navarro match, I may have been saying like, I'm not sure this is a woman, because she's hitting the ball. She
hits it. She hits it real hard.
It was unfair. I mean, Emma did not play bad, and she lost 6-3, 6-7.
Well, and that's why Serena was always so dominant, because Serena had even a better serve, but Serena just hit the ball so much harder than everybody else. So she could be dominant off the ground and with her serve. But it was a good tournament. Fritz making it all the way to the men's final was cool. Should have won that third set. That would have been. Don't think he ends up winning the match, but would have been good to see him get that third set, and should have got it. Sinner's just that good. Yeah, he's just that good.
Sinner,
you can't do it. I mean, when he's playing his best game, it literally probably only Carlos at this point can play with him. Yeah, if they both had their best game going.
Sinner's awesome. Do you think it's any different if Carlos is there in the final?
Yeah, just because Carlos's top end game is
better,
as good as Sinner's. Whatever. They're different, but they're as good. So like when they play, I think Vegas typically when they play, obviously if it's clay, Carlos is the favorite, but when it's hard court, I think that Carlos is a slight favorite, like a -130 favorite.
Oh, really?
Him. Yeah. Could be wrong, but I think or maybe it was grass where Carlos was a little bit of a favorite. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, their top end games are both really, really good, and they're different. But yeah.
Sinner won rivals. Both hard court, and Alcaraz won clay and grass this year, right?
I think so.
Alcaraz won French and that's it. Alcaraz won French and Wimbledon, and Sinner won Australian and U.S. Open. Yep, that was it.
And so maybe that was it. Maybe it was Carlos was the slight favorite on grass, but then Sinner on hard court slight favorite. But yeah, they consider those guys pretty much equals when it comes to that. But the way Sinner's been playing, it's also about how you've been playing lately. But the one thing I will say is that Carlos has showed that he busted out in another tournament fairly early too, didn't he? Or
he lost in like the first or second round.
Yeah, that was
right after the Olympics.
That was U.S. Open, and then
Cincinnati. He
lost Fukovic, and then sorry, not Fukovic, the Vanderslop guy, the guy from
that was in the U.S. Open.
U.S. Open. I'm trying.
But
he
lost, and didn't he lose in the Cincinnati tournament?
Yeah, he lost early there too. He hasn't been, and I think he said it, like his focus hasn't been quite as professional as Sinner.
Why is that?
Who knows?
You gave me an idea. You told me a rumor.
Of what?
You remember this?
Oh, the rumor that. Oh, yeah. The reason why is because he's dating Emma Raducanu, who's he's taking all his I think he's found himself a little girlfriend, and the focus is not on tennis anymore. It's on Emma. Okay, it's a PG version of that we can put online. But I said other things. Yeah, but I do think that could be part of it, because it's like they said something that they saw him on practice courts and they're like dating, and I was like, yeah, maybe Carlos found his honey hole here a little early, and now his priorities have changed. It's only half about tennis and half about other things, but I don't know.
I mean. You did also say that she doesn't care about tennis, right?
Yeah, she's more the glitz glam. She won. The thing is, it's funny. She won the U.S. Open.
She won a U.S. Open?
Yeah, when she was 18 out of nowhere. She was playing Leylah Fernandez in the final. It was like a weird final. It was like Serena was just like, this is probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. So 4 years ago, probably. Maybe 2020. I can't remember what year it was. But yeah, she won. You'd have to look on there. But she won that. Then she's always been like injured, this and that and the other. Like, she's talented. She just, doesn't seem like she gives her.
She's British.
Yeah, heart and soul. The last name's a Romanian last name, but she's a Brit.
Oh yeah, she does not look British.
Yeah, but
yeah, she went like Grand Slam best results. Second round, fourth round, wins U.S. Open 2021. What the heck?
Was it 21?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah,
2021. She beat, that's crazy. So wait, but so she hasn't done anything since then?
No.
Huh.
Lots of commercials, lots of, you could almost call her like and I don't want to do this to Pretty Rick because I love Ricky Fowler, but she's like the women's version of like Ricky Fowler on the tennis side.
Comes onto the scene, everybody loves him.
She's very popular over there and does like tons of commercials and all kinds of stuff. It's like like when
But
Rick
game goes.
when Rick hadn't won anything, God love him, like 4 years, but he's on every Farmers Insurance commercial. You see him like every day, 5 times a day. It's like, it's Ricky Fowler here with Farmers Insurance.
I will say, hey, look, you got your time to make your money. You jump on that thing.
No,
right?
for sure.
I actually like Ricky Fowler.
Oh, I love him. Yeah, and he had been playing much better the last couple of years.
I know. Yeah, he was. I didn't even realize he's already 35. Man, I feel like he's a kid. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's about all we got for the show. You have anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No. Oh, shout out Sam Houston State Bearcats. Lost this weekend, but forgot to give them the big shout out when they beat the hell out of Rice, which is an impressive win.
Really, they were double-digit dogs.
Double-digit dogs, beat the hell out of them. They played UCF this week and got beat, but UCF's, I think, going to be
They're actually really good.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had Jefferson back there, quarterback from Arkansas. He transferred in.
He transferred to UCF.
They look pretty good, so came up short in that one, but had a great week 1 against Rice, smoked them.
Play Hawaii this week.
Hopefully they win that one. I think they can beat Hawaii.
We're fans of Sam Houston State. We're fans of Texas State too. UIW.
Yeah, Texas State. I mean, Texas State looked
awesome.
Smoked UTSA,
and we like UTSA too, but we like Texas State's coach a lot.
And
UIW, right? They played the defending champs and played them pretty well.
Yeah, they played them pretty tough. The game at the end, the score didn't reflect how close the game was. Everything was tied in the third quarter, so 17 all. So yeah, a lot of good teams down here playing good football. So
Uncle T's good buddy is the head coach there. He does a really, really good job at UIW. So we're fans of them. Try to watch them every week and support that team. But yeah. I almost forgot, dude. I can't believe you forgot. I'm reminding you this. You told me on the phone on Saturday that you were going to make your best thing this week about your niece scoring a goal.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Completely forgot.
Yeah, no one. Hey, listen, that's on Jeremiah. The blood's on his hands.
He didn't send the video.
Actually, you know what? He may have sent the video.
Oh yeah.
I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot Saturday.
That's like that's like the scene in Entourage where Johnny Drama's like all mad because Jimmy Kimmel hasn't called him back in 5 years, and Jimmy Kimmel's like, "What? I was like a bounty hunter trying to." Oh,
he did send me the video. Hold on. Oh, it's bad camera work. Bad camera work.
Like I was a bounty hunter. I was a bounty hunter trying to track him down. Oh shit! I think he might be right.
That's hilarious.
Shit, I think he might be right.
But yeah, shout out Maddie, aka the boat, the best of all time.
Are you gonna send me that video?
No, because you can't really tell what's going on. You didn't.
That's the only video he's got of it.
You just see it kick. Yeah, he was coaching.
Come on, Jeremiah.
He was coaching.
He was coaching.
Yeah, he's the assistant. It's Thundercats. Not a lot of people know about the Thundercats at home. Haven't lost a game in 2 years.
Wow. That's a streak better than Michigan's home win streak.
They had the league. They were so good that the league basically made them like break up, and they had like different girls on the team, and like they act like it's a select team. It's like absolutely not. Like these kids don't play like any other soccer except with Coach Troy and my brother. And they literally, I think it was last year, they outscored opponents 82-0. They didn't give up a goal.
How old are they?
9.
Oh my gosh,
they're elite,
dude. The
Thundercats,
100%. That is Kicking and Screaming. That's the movie Kicking and Screaming.
Yeah. It's
Robert Duvall, I think, who plays. Is that who it was?
Yeah,
I think it's Robert Duvall who plays the dad, and he's like he has
Uncle,
a Pele.
Uncle Bucky.
Yeah, he's got the Uncle Bucky's got the Pele ball, and he trades his own nephew to another team. Like
that would be your dad. Like if your dad and you coach soccer against each other, it'd be like that.
100%. Except for I wouldn't be Will Ferrell. I would be. My dad would be Will Ferrell.
The best is Juice Box Boy. He tells Ditka, "Give me a juice box." You're my juice box boy. You know who you're fucking talking to?
Underrated movie right there.
Very underrated.
Underrated movie. Yeah, this has been a good close to the show. We've had a good show today.
Fun show.
Remember, if you're
new
to
football season.
Yeah, and
a lot of football left. Just started.
I mean, yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm so pessimistic. I'm like, man, this is week 2 of college football. That means we only have like this many weeks left of college football. Yeah. But yeah. It was a really, really fun games in the NFL this week. Had some good college games. Hope you guys enjoyed this show, recapping everything from this past week in sports. Make sure, if you are new to the channel, like I've already mentioned a couple times, we have a new Pick'em show. We're about to shoot it, actually, right now. It'll be out probably Wednesday. Be on the lookout for that. If you have notifications on the channel, you'll get an alert with that when it's posted. But that's where we'll preview all the big games. We'll have, I think Big Dog will be on the show, and he'll be giving his locks of the week. We have a nice thing, a giveaway, chance to we're going to call it the segment Beat the Dog. Like Turner came up with the name. We're
not talking Michael Vick here, people.
That's right.
We're big animal fans. Big animals.
We're big.
We got Westbrook in here sometimes.
That's right. We're actually big dog people. But we donate to the Animal Defense League. So that should
Big Dog's a big supporter of the Puppy Food Bank for just $13 a month.
Yeah,
you can support. He's also at the Puppy Food Bank.
He also supports the deposed king of Nigeria. He gives them quite a few bucks a month.
Him and Michael Scott.
Anyway, check out that Pick'em show if you want to look for previews for this week's game or best bets and all that stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy NFL Week 2, college football Week 3, and we'll catch you guys next time.